3 a.m., Chicago, Illinois. A 10-story high-rise catches fire. Dozens of residents are stranded on nearly every floor.
I didn't know where the fire was exactly, but I just know it was so much smoke in my apartment I couldn't leave my bedroom.
They're coming. They're all right. She's okay.
Firefighter Bill Heenan arrives with the first truck on the scene.
I'll never forget, there had to be 50 or 60 people hanging out the windows, thinking the fire was on their floor.
Inside, smoke and flames fill the hallways, leaving only one path to safety, out their windows and down a 100-foot ladder.
What makes the ladder rescues hard is you got people coming out of windows 80 feet in the air, and most people are afraid of heights. Then they're stepping on something they can see through, and the ground's way down there, you know. It's cold, the ladders are slippery from the water. I mean, it makes it real hard.
The heat from the blaze is so intense that residents risk their lives leaping onto ladders before they're in position. Firefighters battle high winds and freezing rain to save one victim after another and bring them safely to the ground. Even when heavy winds blow flames across their ladder, rescuers don't stop working. Below, firefighters continue to spray water on the flames and carry the victims to safety.
They're coming down with them, and they're stopping and making sure we got the fire licked a little bit, and they come down a little further. Them guys did a hell of a job there.
Firefighters are alerted to a family trapped on the 6th floor, directly in the path of the blaze. Worse still, they're in a part of the building that can't be reached by the hook and ladder trucks.
At that point, I says, oh man, these people are in trouble right now, you know? And I told the captain, we got 2 kids that I can see of and somebody else in the window that are gonna jump right now.
Firefighters quickly raise a 50-foot extension ladder, but there's a problem.
I started climbing up there, and I knew when I got about 3/4 of the way up the ladder, I'm thinking, man, this ladder ain't long enough, you know? So I said, I gotta talk him into staying in the window.
The family stays where they are, but only for a moment. With the flames approaching, the brother drops his sister to the rescuer 15 feet below.
As soon as I looked up, she was coming right past me. And I had one option, which was about 1/10 of a second, stick one arm out. That's exactly what I did. Stuck one arm out, and she wedged right here between me and the ladder and stopped dead.
It's a miraculous catch. But before Heenan can secure the girl, her father also jumps.
He jumps to a cement column that was right next to the ladder, and he's hanging on. And I know he can't hang on for more than maybe 10 seconds. 2 seconds later, he went right by us.
Amazingly, he's uninjured and later walks away. But at the top of the ladder, Heenan now finds his own life in jeopardy.
I'm trying to hold on to her. I said, listen, if you don't stop wiggling around, we're both gonna fall, you know?
Also, the 40-mile-an-hour winds threaten to blow the ladder over.
There was 3 guys holding the bottom of that ladder against the building, and we still came away from the wall, at least a foot at one time.
Heenan finally manages to shift the girl to a safe position on the ladder.
I said, you just gotta hang on. We're gonna get down.
Carefully surrounding the girl with his body, he talks her to the ground. Reaching the bottom, another firefighter grabs her and rushes to the paramedics, where she's found to be uninjured. After 3.5 hours, the fire is extinguished. Sadly, it claims the lives of 4 people, but 60 others are still alive due to the brave ladder rescues of Bill Heenan and his fellow firefighters.
This is day after the fire.
Today, citations recognizing Heenan's bravery are displayed in his home. But now a dad himself, nothing means more to him than the words of the father he saved that night.
He said, my whole family could have been wiped out. He says, I just have to go on from here, you know. He says, I'll never forget you, and he doesn't. He calls me every couple of months. He'll call me up and see how I'm doing, make sure everything's okay.
In Boston, Massachusetts, another apartment building is in flames. But when firefighters pull out one young victim, this rescue has just begun. One of the first rescuers to rush into the building is Lieutenant Tim McGillicuddy.
All firefighters, feel that this could be their own child. And nobody wants to see a child get hurt.
The girl's mother is panic-stricken. Inside, firefighters continue their search for her daughter.
As I entered the bedroom, firefighter Bob Staunton was coming out of the bedroom. I bumped right into him, and he thrust the small girl into my arms.
McGillicuddy then rushes the girl to fresh air.
Where's the ambulance?
Once at the street, McGillicuddy checks the girl and discovers that she is unconscious and not breathing.
Okay.
Boston police officer Jim O'Connor joins the rescue.
Are you okay? Yeah. You sure?
The ambulance has not yet arrived on the scene. They have no choice now but to begin CPR.
It's not every day you have a lifeless body put in your arms and that you're supposed to do something. It's up to you to do something to save this person.
After more than a minute of CPR, the girl shows no response. But McGillicuddy continues, his mind on just two things.
Praying to God that things are going to go right and falling back on your training to do what you have to do to get this little person breathing again.
Then, the child coughs.
Up on the chest. Come on, honey, grab it up, get it, girl.
She coughed, and she started to breathe on her own. Best feeling I ever had.
You breathing good? Got a nice heartbeat on her. Yeah, she's breathing kind of like hell.
No, get me on a cab.
Where the hell is the back door? Back on, go ahead, get him right in.
Minutes later, the paramedics arrive on the scene and move the child into the ambulance.
Hi, honey. Can you talk to me? What's your name? Okay, have him come right in the back of the truck, okay? Huh? Your name's Chrissy?
Although she had stopped breathing minutes before, Chrissy speaking her own name is the first indication that she's going to be fine. Saving one life is a challenge. Attempting to save hundreds can push firefighters right to the limit. A blaze rips through the 6th floor of a New Delhi, India high-rise, trapping 500 office workers. Firefighters battle the inferno, but water cannons barely reach flames burning more than 70 feet above the ground. With sprinkler systems failing and fire exits blocked, the blaze surrounds panicked victims. From an adjacent building, construction workers see that firefighters are unable to reach the victims. Using a cement bucket suspended from a crane, they attempt a daring rescue. But the crane is just inches too short. Smoke and intense heat force the victims to hang dangerously out of windows. Below, the crowd shouts encouragement. Finally, a truck with a 5-story ladder arrives. But even this proves to be too short, leaving a treacherous first step. Safely on the ground, she faints after her terrifying ordeal. Meanwhile, 100 people have climbed to the roof. All they can do is watch as the fire blazes upward, floor by floor. A fire chief shouts encouragement to those trapped on the roof. But the fact is, firefighters have no way to get them down. Just when all appears lost, the neighboring construction workers return, this time with a makeshift bridge. Although rickety and perilous, the life-saving overpass is an engineering miracle, held together with just rope and bamboo. The bucket from the overhead crane provides support. One by one, the victims cross, risking a 140-foot plunge to the street below. Finally, the last woman, terrified of falling, inches her way across. She suffers from dehydration and shock, but she is safe at last. Although the inferno injures 100 people and claims 3 lives, most are rescued and reunited with family. But none of this would have been possible if not for the ingenuity of firefighters and a brave crew of construction workers. Flames aren't the only obstacle firefighters must overcome to save lives. In northeast China, a baby boy is trapped at the bottom of a 40-foot hole at a construction site. That he survived the fall is a miracle. But he's completely wedged in, with his foot horribly contorted under his chin. Dozens of villagers turn out to assist firefighters and police on the scene. Desperate to reach the child, firefighters come up with an ingenious plan. They tie a rope around a volunteer's legs with the intention of lowering him down the 14-inch wide hole. But as the man descends, the hole narrows and he is unable to reach the child. Rescuers try again, this time with a smaller volunteer, a brave 10-year-old schoolboy. The boy manages to reach the toddler, but he lacks the strength to pull the baby free. Now, firefighters' only hope is to dig a separate shaft adjacent to the trapped child. With no heavy equipment available, they use just shovels and buckets. As they toil into the night, the local community aids the rescue. Suddenly, the boy becomes still. He's fallen further into shock. As day breaks, firefighters are just inches from the toddler, but the child begins to panic. The boy is finally within reach. Suddenly, he disappears. But the child is not in danger. He's been pulled by a firefighter into the adjoining hole. The rescuer clutches the child tightly in his arms for the dangerous trip up to the surface. After 18 hours underground, the boy is free. With his son safe at last, the father falls to his knees, overcome by emotion. The boy is rushed to waiting doctors, who begin emergency treatment. Although the toddler has a broken leg, he survived, A lasting tribute to the caring firefighters and neighbors who together saved a young life. "25 stories above downtown Honolulu, 70-year-old Mildred McCarter leans out her window, desperate to escape the flames and smoke that have engulfed her apartment.
And you could hear her, screaming, so I went in my apartment and hung out the window and tried to calm her. And when I first looked outside, she was hanging out the window about up to her waist.
11 fire companies respond to the emergency, but the flames are drawing closer, and Mildred has only one way to escape: by stepping onto the ledge outside her window, a ledge that's only 2 inches wide.
The smoke started coming out more thick and darker, and she could tell she was rubbing her arms because of the heat, and that's when she came out. I kind of turned away because I didn't know if she was going to fall or not.
For nearly 20 minutes, Mildred balances precariously on the narrow ledge 300 feet in the air. The only thing giving her hope? The crowd shouting from the street below. For Mildred, holding on is becoming difficult. The intense heat and smoke are weakening her frail body. At last, firefighters managed to position themselves on the balcony next door.
We worked our way over to the bedroom with the other firefighting line, and we happened to find the lady out on the ledge.
Just when it seems that Mildred can't hold on any longer, the firefighters make the save.
The heat was really intense. And fortunately, she hung on until we got there.
But the accident has taken a toll on its elderly victim.
She was in bad shape. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. She was just barely awake. So we just helped her out of the room. Paramedics took over and brought her down.
With second and third degree burns over 20% of her body, Mildred is rushed to the local burn unit. Her home and all her possessions are also in ruins. Incredibly, after 6 months of rehabilitation, Mildred returns to her newly restored apartment. And though she keeps the memories of that terrifying day behind her, she'll never forget the brave men who risked their own lives to save hers.
To me, it is a complete and total miracle that I should have people that are that good to me.
Saving lives is always priority number 1 for a firefighter, whether the victim is human or animal. In Ontario, Canada, the Thorold County Volunteer Fire Department rushes to the scene when a 7-week-old puppy named Duke falls 40 feet down an open pipe. Concern grows as they hear the freezing puppy's cries for help. Firefighters decide that their best bet is to create a noose and try and snag Duke's leg and pull him free. Desperate to reach him before hypothermia sets in, they build the noose out of shoelaces from their own boots and a length of rope. Carefully, they lower their makeshift rescue device down the pipe. To snare Duke at this depth and in such close quarters will take incredible skill and more than a little luck. But repeated attempts to snag the puppy prove futile.
The problem is seeing the dog because it's so deep, as well as trying to snare the dog. You can't see, it's a shot in the dark right now. And but we're really hoping that we're gonna have that right, get that spot to get a hold of them.
Firefighters decide the shoelaces are too thick and clumsy to properly catch the dog. They need a snare with a thin wire they can operate deep underground. The problem is, no such snare exists. Their solution? Build one themselves. With pipe Bought at a nearby hardware store, firefighters build a snare approximately 50 feet long.
You have 5 sections altogether, 10-foot sections? Yeah.
Men on the roof help lower the cumbersome snare into place. Duke has been trapped for nearly 5 hours. If he's going to be saved alive, it must be done now. But operating the snare in such a confined space proves difficult. Suddenly, they manage to get hold of Duke's tail.
Keep that rope tight. Not so fast, guys.
If the snare loosens, Duke could slip free and fall to his death.
Keep the rope tight. Right there. Don't throw the hole up. Seizu's out. Okay.
At last, Duke is out of harm's way.
Get that hole covered up. Wire cutter. Who's got wire cutter? We got it. Don't pull it. All right, puppy. Here, get this. Get the blanket. Blanket and all, guys, into the house. Got him? Got him.
To prevent hypothermia, the puppy is wrapped in warm blankets.
Have you named him yet?
Yes, Duke. Duke.
Let's change his name to Will.
Next, a trip to the vet reveals that the pup has no injuries.
He's one tough trooper, that little dog.
Days later, firefighters get a chance to meet a clean and rested Duke up close.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a happy moment and Duke.
So it is.
With the dirt and mud washed off, it's the first time they realize that Duke is one of their own, a Dalmatian.
Says you had a bath yet?
Yeah. Is that a bad? Stand up, but that's about it.
What you all did here was far past the Call of Duty. You showed us a lot of feeling and compassion for a little puppy. You know, you extended yourselves beyond belief. It just was overwhelming. And thank you isn't enough. And that we do is thank you with all our hearts.
For these resourceful men and women, thank you isn't necessary. A happy family, a healthy Duke, and a new mascot for the fire station say it all. San Diego, California. A family home burns out of control. A man is trapped inside. News cameraman Pat McCluskey arrives on scene before firefighters. McCluskey is able to use the light on his camera to illuminate a path through the smoke-filled rooms.
Okay, come on. Okay, here we go.
Risking their lives, the cameraman and neighbors struggle to locate the victim, but the heat and smoke force them out. The rescuers grab a few precious breaths of fresh air, then attempt another rescue.
You couldn't hardly stand up, it was so thick. You'd start to breathe in there and you'd lose your breath right away. The smoke would just take away all the oxygen.
We can't see.
What about somebody?
Again, the rescue team is driven out of the house by the toxic smoke, but they're still not willing to give up.
You got the adrenaline going, you're kind of panicked because you want to find this person, and you kind of run out of air real quick in a situation like that.
I need a little light. Yes, a little bit more. Okay. Follow me. Stay in as long as I can. When I go out, you come out. Don't block it. Okay, come on. Run.
Once again, rescuers are forced out. Luckily, the fire department has arrived. The victim's wife points Captain Mike DiTomaso in the right direction.
I had my firefighters begin putting water on the fire so that would keep the spread of the fire down, and that allowed me to go to that rear bedroom where she directed me. Once inside, it was completely black. I had to get down on my hands and knees. I'm filling around underneath the bed, filling all over the place, trying to find the body.
Captain DiTommaso tries to locate the victim, while firefighters continue to knock down the blaze.
I located the body on the back side of the bed. He was totally unresponsive. I had to grab him as best I could around the waist and drag him out.
They carry the motionless body out to fresh air as McCluskey continues shooting.
I was trying to see if I could see some breathing. I was trying to see if his chest was moving, and I didn't see that.
The victim gasps for air, while friends and family look on in horror. Fire personnel check vital signs and administer oxygen, while the man's wife encourages him to hang on. To everyone's relief, the husband survives and makes a full recovery.
Having one victim that we worked so hard to try and find, and to have him survive and to do well after such a terrible event, we're very happy about that.
Sometimes it's the most unlikely heroes who make a difference. In this case, neighbors and a stranger who help firefighters locate a victim in time to save his life. Clearly, fires are a force to be reckoned with, but they're nothing compared to the will of a parent fighting to save their own child. Pattaya, Thailand. A gas oven has exploded in the first-floor coffee shop of the Royal Jomtien Resort Hotel. The flames have quickly spread, leaving more than 60 people injured. Worse still, the inferno is rapidly making its way up the 17-story building, engulfing the hotel floor by floor. On the ground, firefighters work to contain the flames. But they've yet to spot Rochelle Stein-Salmi and her 7-year-old daughter, Sana, trapped on the 15th floor. The flames are drawing closer, and they have nowhere left to run. Then, Rochelle draws upon an ingenious idea. She uses her cellular phone to call a friend on the street below. The friend then relays their position to officials. Firefighters now know Rochelle and Sana's exact location, but there's a problem. Their hoses aren't strong enough to reach the higher floors, and they have no way to stop the encroaching flames. So they send in a helicopter rescue team that will attempt to lift them to safety. From a nearby building, a crowd anxiously watches as the desperate rescue unfolds. The helicopter lands on the hotel roof. Rescuers then lower a safety harness. But heavy winds caused by the helicopter keep the harness just out of Rochelle's reach, and the flames are drawing closer. In another moment of inspiration, Rochelle uses her daughter's teddy bear to gain the extra inches she needs to snag the harness. Rochelle then sends her daughter to safety. Now, it's Rochelle's turn, but getting inside the harness proves difficult. With the flames just outside her room, Rochelle has no choice but to jump. Her position in the harness is tenuous. Although the heavy winds knock Rochelle against the side of the building, she succeeds in holding on and is pulled to safety. Mother and daughter are then taken to the hospital, treated for minor injuries, and released. Hours after the inferno began, firefighters are finally able to bring the blaze under control. hotel is in ruins, with more than $40 million in damage. But the casualties were lessened by 2, all because of one mother's quick thinking and a determined team of skilled firefighters. To save lives, firefighters will travel anywhere, even outside the borders of their own country. September 19th, 1985. Mexico City is devastated by a massive earthquake, registering 8.1 on the Richter scale. Local rescuers immediately focus on a collapsed hospital where a number of newborn babies are trapped beneath hundreds of tons of debris. Their plan is to reach the nursery by tunneling through the wreckage. But they need more help, so they contact America's Miami-Dade Search and Rescue Team, which immediately flies to the scene.
Their mission was more to coordinate with the local people and to give more of the technical assistance.
Together, they work through the night, ignoring powerful aftershocks and the threat of further collapse. After 8 hours, they finally reach the first baby. She's alive. As rescuers bring her down, bystanders burst into applause. Waiting doctors rush her into emergency care. To their surprise, she's in healthy condition. Incredibly, rescuers continue to pull surviving babies from the ruins for 8 more days. With the expert help of Miami-Dade, a total of 19 infants are saved.
They were able to survive, amazingly enough, for several days without any attention, without any medical attention, without any food, water. And the fact that they were able to survive was incredible.
Their survival is a symbol of hope for the entire nation, and they come to be known as Mexico's miracle babies. As a result of the Mexico mission, the original team from Miami-Dade decide there's a permanent need for a highly trained unit able to go anywhere around the globe at a moment's notice. It's the beginning of the most sophisticated rescue response team in the world.
The idea for an urban search and rescue team grew for us out of Mexico City. There was really no other team in the country that was doing that on an international level.
To witness this newly formed international rescue team in action, we go to the site of another earthquake, this time in the Philippines. Miami-Dade search and rescue members pack their equipment for the massive operation.
Bring our own food, water, and all the equipment that we need to be self-sufficient for at least 14 days. Bring about 40,000 pounds of equipment with us.
Just 25 hours after leaving Miami, they arrive at the island of Luzon to find horrible devastation. At the scene of a collapsed high-rise hotel, a man named Mayo Haya is trapped, but still alive.
This is what they call in the business a pancake collapse. Mayo was in the bottom of all that.
The team makes the short climb from the sidewalk onto what was once a 4th-floor balcony and begins cutting away the rubble. Within an hour, they hear Mayo's voice.
Mayo! All right, he's right up on that way. Where's he at? What's happening? This dust is getting to him.
We're following his voice, making mental notes. Is he sounding weaker? Is he continuing to talk? Is he positive?
In the midst of the rescue, an aftershock rocks the hotel.
Got a significant aftershock right now. These people probably exiting the building right now.
Despite the danger, the rescuers are undaunted.
You don't think of anything else. I don't think of my family. I didn't even feel some of the aftershocks. You're so focused.
At At last, they make contact with Mayo.
We can out. Okay, good.
There we go.
Good. Okay, partner, we're gonna get that plywood off you in just 1 second, okay?
8 hours after the team began the rescue, they cut away the final layer of debris, and Mayo is pulled to safety.
How you doing, Mayo, okay? Right on the back. Next way, dry. Please. Go first, arm. It was me. I got it. Control his head. I got the neck.
Although Mayo has been trapped for more than 2 days, he summons the strength to shake hands with the men who saved his life.
For us, it's not an option just to walk away from the building. They know that we have to go in, we have to take the calculated and educated risks.
With the rescue complete, the exhausted team heads home. But the next time disaster strikes, no matter where in the world, Miami-Dade Urban Search and Rescue will be on scene, saving lives. Yellowstone National Park, 1988. The driest summer in the park's 120-year history. The firestorm begins with a lightning strike. And by the time it's extinguished, it claims an area of wilderness larger than the state of Rhode Island. Firefighters and military personnel from around the country rallied to save the park. But 3 months later, the blaze is still consuming 10 miles of forest every day. One of the biggest threats caused by the fire is to the park's 2 most treasured monuments, the Old Faithful Geyser and the nearby Old Faithful Inn.
I guess my biggest fear was that the Old Faithful Inn would go. There is no way anybody could have stopped those fires. No way.
The shifting winds make the blaze even more dangerous and unpredictable.
We were very concerned with the firestorm blowing in and knowing that we still had employees in that village and in that area.
Fearing for the safety of park visitors, officials call for an emergency evacuation.
I know it surprised people how quickly it came in.
We're coming up on the Mammoth area right here.
NASA satellites provide information on the path of the fire, tracking its movement and intensity. Down below, crews brace the 100-year-old wooden structure for impact. On the front lines, smoke jumpers drop into the mouth of the inferno. Emergency fire lines are cut using bulldozers. They also use the latest in firefighting technology, an explosive cable that's stretched around the complex.
3, 2, 1.
These explosions create fire breaks they hope will divert the path of the flames. Back at the Old Faithful Inn, the storm roars into sight. An improvised sprinkler system of garden hoses, sprinkler heads, and farm equipment is built to protect the grounds surrounding the inn. Luckily, provisions had already been made for the building itself.
The Old Faithful Inn actually has a sprinkler system on the outside that kept the roof wet, so we didn't have to worry about embers falling.
There were sprinkler systems going and water was coming off the roof of the inn, but it was the real fear that the inn would go up in flames.
With only minutes to spare, crews race for cover as the sky turns from gray to red and finally to black.
Time to go home right now. Get in here!
All of a sudden, the flames came over the ridge, and it was like somebody had opened the doors of an oven. And it was just huge blast of heat just hit all of us in the face. Those flames were at least 300 feet in the air. We've never seen anything like it.
Well, we got the pictures.
A cameraman covering the incident shows a rare view from inside the firestorm.
Grind those tight, kid. This is a firestorm. Oh, God. Let there be some light.
But as quickly as it attacks, the firestorm marches on. Alone in the charred embers and twisted timber stands the Old Faithful Inn.
I think it was actually a miracle that the inn didn't go. That huge firestorm going over an old wood building that's 80 years old. It was a miracle.
2 days later, the worst disaster in national park history is over.
That night and early the next morning, Mother Nature finally took over and we got a little snow and the fires laid down.
Now, a decade later, the barren wasteland left in the wake of this horrible disaster has become home to a new generation of wilderness and wildlife. Due to the heroic efforts of more than 25,000 firefighters, the beauty of Yellowstone will be treasured for generations of visitors to come.
They did a terrific job in saving buildings, and certainly the Old Faithful Inn is standing today because of the efforts of those people out there on that day when the firestorm blew in across the village.
The world of firefighters is often referred to as a brotherhood, a family, and like any family, it has its share of joys and tragedies. June 24th, 1994. An abandoned warehouse located on a pier in Boston Harbor catches fire. To the first men on the scene, the blaze appears to be nothing out of the ordinary.
We could see really just a small amount of fire at the end of this pier underneath the building. I looked at it and said, this isn't going to be much.
But firefighters quickly learn otherwise. The warehouse is 2 stories tall, 250 feet long, and made of old rotted wood. Another problem, the flames are located beneath the warehouse, a narrow space that hoses can't reach. So 4 boats equipped with water cannons are brought in. 2 scuba teams also make their way under the warehouse to spray water directly onto the growing blaze.
All companies working 4113, evacuate the interior of the building.
The scene is now a 9-alarm fire, with a total of 50 trucks and 170 firefighters. Among them, Ladder Company 15, with 3rd-generation firefighter Lieutenant Stephen Minahan. As Minahan assesses the blaze, he learns some troubling news. 2 firefighters, Terrence Jones and Daryl Johnson, have disappeared inside the burning warehouse. Minahan and Ladder 15 quickly take action.
Lieutenant Minahan and his crew went in the building as one of the search teams, searching the building, looking for him.
While searching for the men, conditions quickly deteriorate.
Within moments, the smoke was down to the floor level. The heat became phenomenal through the floor. I've never been in a situation like that in 21 years of firefighting. It was just unbelievable.
Luckily, the missing firefighters are located by another team in a different part of the warehouse. Unconscious, but still alive, they're flown to the hospital.
Engine 14, you want engine 18 in charge of feeder and the hydrant, engine 18.
That leaves Minahan and his crew inside the building. With visibility less than 1 inch, their exit is slow. Then, the unthinkable happens. Minahan becomes separated from his crew.
Last they remember, he was right behind them. He had said to them, you guys go out first, I'm coming right behind you. And when they got outside the building, he wasn't with them.
He being the last one, making sure they were all out, just took the wrong doorway and went further into the building instead of out.
Suddenly, over the radio, Minahan sends out an SOS using his call name, Ladder 15. Knowing that Minahan has only a small amount of oxygen left, a team returns to the warehouse to search for their lost partner. Officers also call for Minahan over the radio.
Ladder 15, where are you in the building? All companies keep the radios clear. That's all companies keep the radios clear. Ladder 15, what is your location? Ladder 15. Ladder 15.
Sadly, the search for Minahan proves futile.
Who's calling Ladder 15? Ladder 15.
With the blaze now raging out of control, firefighters had no choice but to evacuate the warehouse.
It's very difficult to know that we were going to leave one of our brothers there. And that we didn't have a chance to get him.
All they can do is watch and wait until the fire burns itself out. Though it's clear that no human can survive such a blaze. Six hours later, morning breaks, and it's safe to return inside the warehouse. But the reality of the situation hangs in the air.
We knew that at that point that we were just searching for, to find Steve's body. We didn't really have any hope that he was still alive. It would have been an incredible miracle had he been able to.
And we do discover the body probably 40 feet from the water end of the warehouse, leaning against a column. In good condition, but he died of carbon monoxide and smoke inhalation.
In a time-honored tradition, all of the firefighters remain on the scene until their fallen brother is carried from the wreckage. A week later, the city of Boston and more than 8,000 firefighters from around the United States and Canada mourn for Stephen Minahan.
And his very last act here on this earth was doing what he loved to do as a firefighter, saving that precious gift of human life.
In this world, there are givers and takers. Just turn on your TV or open the newspaper, and the takers are there. The givers are harder to find. Steve was a giver.
For the Minahan family, life will never be the same. As for Ladder Company 15 and firefighters everywhere, it's a sobering reminder of the risks that they face every day on the job. But like Stephen Minahan, they accept those risks because they know the rewards are unlike any other. Every time an alarm rings and a truck leaves the station, there's no telling what hazards are waiting for a firefighter. But that's their job, to face down danger, whether it's a building in flames, a city ravaged by earthquakes, or a forest engulfed by an inferno. These are brave men and women who honor a unique and special code, who put other lives before their own, earning them the title, the world's most heroic firefighters.